Hello ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm talking about American Heart Association training centers and training sites. Different things that you need to look out for when you're trying to choose one or the other, and a full description on what those two things are. So choosing a training center is absolutely critical. That's probably going to be one of the most important things that you can choose besides your company's name. So usually we put training centers into two categories. There's training centers that are business driven, and then there's training centers that are stagnant, where they only teach in-house employees, like the fire departments and the healthcare field. So with fire departments, they're not looking to expand, so they usually do not help small businesses in terms of pushing out new material, auditing to make sure that you're doing things in compliance, and then also helping you grow your business. They're just there to train their employees and then they move on. Yet they are a training center because of how big they are. Just the same thing with the healthcare field. So you want to make sure that the training center is actually business driven. When you call them up, ask them how they're going to help you to promote your business, to maybe walk you through the different steps of PAM, entering rosters, different booking systems. These are all absolutely critical things. Not only would it make or break your company, but it might propel your company to do better things. I cannot stress to you enough the importance of having a training center that will actually take you underneath your wing, especially if you're a small company, or even if you're a big company, to help you grow. So is the training center just an individual person? If it's an individual person, they might have a secondary job or they might have a primary job, and entering rosters is not their full-time thing, or this training center is not their full-time thing, then that is where we usually see the delay in terms of e-cards being sent out. I've heard extreme horror stories where one training or one instructor had to wait 1 month to get her e-cards. 1 month. Absolutely astounding. It takes literally 3 to 4 clicks of a button in order for them to issue out the e-cards. So our training center has a commitment where they actually check twice a day, so that way you can get same-day cards, and we do that as a training site where we issue out the cards same day, and we try to guarantee that. So if they have multiple people and they have multiple admins, then that's when you would need to say, are they cross-trained? If someone takes leave, is somebody else able to enter in the rosters if they're not there? Cross-training is absolutely critical. You can see in some of my other videos where I talk about cross-training, so that way you build redundancies, just in case something happens. When you're choosing training centers, we actually have 2 training centers. One is our primary, and then another one is the secondary training center. You are allowed to have 2 training centers. Some training centers, which I'll talk about a little bit later, say you can only have a primary. They are wrong. You can have a secondary, and you do not have to fill out all the transfer paperwork. You do not need permission of the primary training center. Just in case you end up having a bad one, then you can have a secondary training center without alerting the primary training center. So with our primary training center, in terms of the disciplines, and this is like the BLS, the Heart Save or Heart Code certifications, we use through them. And then our secondary training center, we use for our advanced cards like ACLS and PALS. The reason why we set up that way is because very few training centers actually have all the disciplines. So depending on how fast you want to progress your business, you actually probably do want a training center that has or is able to fulfill all your needs in terms of the advanced e-cards and also the basic level e-cards too. So card prices are pretty important. Because of the volume that we get, our card prices are substantially low, and in some cases, for instance, our secondary provider, the card prices is a little bit higher, but we get so much in return. Yes, the card prices may be a little bit higher, but ask what you get for it. For our secondary provider, that training site or that training center provides us instructor renewal at cost that you cannot beat. It's unbelievable. Instead of hundreds of dollars that some training centers will offer, it's like $20-$30 for a instructor renewal, which is unheard of. Everything is done online. They have an online testing and portfolio and stuff like that, which is very good. They also definitely do help in terms of growing your business too, and that's why we definitely utilize them. You should only be paying for the card prices. There's some horror stories that I've heard with the training centers where they're charging like $10 per roster fee. They're charging for, $300 for instructor renewal fees. And then they're charging a yearly fee and then an auditing fee. That is absolutely ridiculous. There are plenty of training centers that just charge for the cards and that is it. There's other companies that will charge you for exiting the company. So if you want to switch over from one primary training center to another primary training center, they'll charge $300. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's basically stealing people's money, to be honest. The sad thing is, we have gone to the American Heart Association. We've tried to push for some of these instructors and say, hey, this is not, good business ethics and stuff like that. The American Heart Association, because that person signed a document, they validate the training center and they say they have to pay the exit fees. So please do not sign the paperwork without at least asking 2 or 3 other people. You can go to different forums, you can go on Google, research training centers, but please do your research so that way you don't get stuck in the amount of predicaments that instructors and small businesses get stuck with because they didn't do their research. Another thing that you want to ask for the training center is in terms of the compliance. So training centers are supposed to audit like training sites, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and different companies and stuff like that. Having a good booking system is absolutely critical. So we did use Bookeo, Bookeo, phenomenal booking system. It was only like $15 a month when we were starting out, very small. It had everything that we needed. And then when we bought out another company, we merged and started to use Enrollware. Enrollware is very expensive. It's about $250. That's what we pay per month. But when you have hundreds of instructors, dozens of training companies throughout the Eastern Coast, you need a better software system. And with this Enrollware, what our training site does, or our training center does, is that they come in, we give them the username and password, they look through our files and stuff like that, they know that we're uploading the rosters, that we're in compliance, that we're providing the test scores, and then they actually physically come into our training places, and then they look at our files, they make sure that we have American Heart Association booklets to give out to the students and stuff like that. So training centers is like the parent body where they overlook everything else to make sure that you are in compliance, which is absolutely critical. If your training center is not willing to do that, and you're not doing the correct thing, that's most likely you're going to get shut down by the American Heart Association, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So we are a training site. We have training businesses, or we have businesses throughout the Eastern Coast that are under us, and then we have, I stopped counting after 100 instructors, so we have a wide variety of people that we utilize. We are only on the Eastern Coast, and we are only accepting instructors under the Eastern Coast as of right now. So if you are interested, definitely send us a message. So with training sites, you can become a training site, I would say fairly easily. All you need is 5 instructors, and you need to issue out 250 cards a year. And so I would recommend anybody who has met that already to go to the American Heart Association website and then try to actually apply to become a training site. Now the training sites are underneath the training centers, and we do quite a bit of the legwork for the training centers. So all the businesses that are underneath us and the instructors that are underneath us, we're the ones that are actually going out, we're auditing them. So we're checking to make sure that they're in compliance, that their rosters are being uploaded correctly, that they're actually inputting the test scores, that their place of business is in compliance with the American Heart Association. So we get questions all the time, whether is it worth to be a training site, is it worth to be a training center? So how the training center makes their money is the American Heart Association sells them the cards. I think the going rate now is $2.50 per e-card for BLS. And then the training center will sell it to the training sites and the instructors and other businesses for almost double the amount. So that's how they're able to get a little bit of revenue that way. For a training site, it is a little bit harder, but we can network with other instructors. So since we're along the Eastern Coast, we have dozens and dozens of contracts out. We can utilize the instructors from other companies to go ahead and teach our classes. So for us, it is very worth it because we build that repertoire of instructors across the Eastern Coast, and then we can utilize them to actually go ahead and teach our classes. That's also another thing that we definitely promote with new businesses and instructors. If they're new, that we basically give them businesses and stuff like that. We don't give them businesses, we give them business. Another good thing about being a training site is because if you eventually want to become a training center, you need to build that repertoire of people filing e-cards, the amount of instructors and stuff like that. So you can build that if you do want to become a training center eventually. There's some regional training centers and then there's some national training centers. Both of our primary and secondary training centers are national organizations. So with that, sometimes they do give us business and then we can travel outside of the Eastern Coast. So maybe in a year or two, we can actually start progressing away from the Eastern Coast. But we wanted a firm foundation on the Eastern Coast and with the staffing. So that way, when we do start moving over, we have the people already in place to be able to take on that business. If you enjoyed this video, please definitely like and subscribe. It really does help out. And I thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this helps you. If you're looking for other videos, then you can comment below. If you have any questions, you can also comment below. I am here to help you.